Sorry about that. So now I'm going to subtract 6 20 times, which is the same as subtracting 120, and that leaves me with 8 in my dividend. So remember, the goal is to continually subtract from that dividend until we get to where we can't subtract anymore. Okay, so I can subtract 6 one more time. So that's leaving me now with 2, and I cannot subtract 6 again. So I add together my partial quotients, that's 21, and I have a remainder of 2. So my answer is 21, remainder 2. Excellent job for those of you who are following along. Everyone should be following along. Why don't we have this written down? You should have it written down on a clean sheet of paper. Okay, did you write this down with me? Good job. Okay, if you got it correct, you don't have to write it down, but also you could just be doing it for review and practice, especially if you did not get a 3, because you will be retaking this test. Okay, number 4, use a strategy of your choice to do 987 divided by 7. So over here to the right, we're going to do 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 100 is 700. So I can subtract 700. Okay, I can subtract 700, but if I do 7 times 200, that is 1,400, which is too big. So I'm going to subtract 7 100 times, which is the same as subtracting 700. That leaves me with 287. I cannot subtract 700, but I can subtract 70. I want to get as close as I can to 287. Looking at those first 2 digits, 7 times what gets me close to 28? Caden? 7 times 4, or 7 times 40 is 280. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 7 40 more times, which is the same as subtracting 280, and that leaves me with 7. I can subtract 7 one more time. Now I'm done. There's nothing left over, so I add together my partial quotients, and I get 141. Okay, number 5. 6,186 divided by 6. Okay, over here to the right, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 100 is 600. And 6 times 1,000 is 6,000. Okay? I can subtract that 6,000, which is the same as subtracting 6 1,000 times. That leaves me with 186 in the dividend. I cannot subtract 6,000. I cannot subtract 600. I can subtract 60, but I'm going to try to get closer. 6 times what gets me close to that 18? Avery? 6 times 20 is 120. Can I get closer? Morgan? 6 times 3 is 18, so 6 times 30 is 180. Okay, so I can subtract 6 30 more times. That's the same as subtracting 180. That leaves me with 6 in my dividend. I can subtract 6 one time. And that leaves me with 0. So now I'm left, I can add together my partial quotients, and I have 1,031. Miss Patterson, they should be writing with something, not a pencil. They should be writing down any one that they did not get correct. There are a few people on IXL because they got all of the level 3 questions correct. Oh, you redid it on your own? Good job. I'm proud of you. Okay. Okay. Let's look at number 6. Mrs. Smith is going on vacation. All right. She will be gone for 7 days. If she has $1,834, how much will she be able to spend each day on vacation? She wants to spend the exact same amount each day. How much change will she have left? Okay, you should always use the cube strategy. I am looking and I see people who did not use the cube strategy on that problem. You should have used the cube strategy. Thank you. Okay, so the division problem that you need to do is 1,834 divided by 7 because Mrs. Smith would like to spend the same amount of money each day and she's going to be gone for 7 days. Okay, now 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 100 is 700. Now I know that 7 times 1,000 is 7,000 and that's going to be too big. Okay, I can subtract 700, but I think I can get closer. So let's underline the 18. 7 times what gets me pretty close to 18? Ryan? 2. 7 times 2 is 14. So let's try 7 times 20 is 140. Oh, I'm sorry, I should be here. 7 times 200 is 1,400. That makes a lot more sense, right? Okay, so over here on the right, I'm going to put 200, and then I'm going to subtract my 1,400 from my dividend. That leaves me with 434. Okay, so I cannot subtract 700. But I can subtract 70. Can I get closer to 434 than 70? What do you think? 7 times what will get me close to that 43? 7 times what gets me close to the 43? If you don't know your multiplication facts, you should be looking at a fact chart. 7 times what gets me close to 43? I should have lots of hands in the air. 7, 14, 21. Count them off if you don't know them. Look at a fact chart, but don't just sit there. Yes, MJ?
700 times 20. 200. 7 times 60.
7 times 60. 7 times 6 is 42. So 7 times 60 is 420. That puts me really close to what I have left in my dividend. So I'm going to subtract 7 60 more times, which is the same as subtracting 420. That leaves me with 14. I could subtract 7, but 7 times what is 14? 2. So over here I'm going to put my 2, then I'm going to subtract 14, which leaves me with 0. I add together my partial quotients, and I have 262. So Mrs. Smith can spend $262 each day. How much money does she have left over? None. She's going to spend every last penny. Okay? Now,
Why?
you guys have to look at the question because some of you got this math right, but you put it here. Okay? You have to understand what the question is asking. This is the total amount of money over 7 days. How much can I spend each day? You have to divide. And whatever your quotient is how much you can spend. Okay? So we need to be careful about reading the question and then knowing what those numbers mean. Okay? Yes? I would go to E20. Or actually, E7, yeah, E14 is due Friday. Work on E20. Okay, here we have 1,234 divided by 9. I'm now on number 7, so you should have this numbered as number 7. Over here to the right, 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 100, is 900. I know that 9 times 1,000 is 9,000. That's going to be way too big, so there's no point in figuring that out. 9 times, I can subtract 900. Wonder if I can get closer. 9 times 200 is 1,800, which is going to be too big. Over here to the right, I'm going to subtract 9 100 times, which is the same as subtracting 900. That leaves me with 334 in my dividend. I cannot subtract 900, but I can subtract 90. Let's look at these first two digits, 33. 9 times what is going to get me close to 33? Addie?
3.
9 times 3 is 27. So 9 times 30 is 270. I can subtract 9 30 times, which is the same as subtracting 270. That leaves me with 64. Okay, now 9 times what gets me close to 64? 9 times what gets me close to 64? Cooper?
7.
9 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63. So I can subtract 9 7 more times. That leaves me with 1. Can I subtract 9 again? So I'm done. Add together your partial quotients. You should have 137, remainder 1. So write that up here. Okay, this explanation, I do want to point out, it says, explain the strategy. That is different than explaining how you solved a problem. Yesterday, in our journal, we practiced the race math writing strategy for explaining how we solved a problem. This is just telling you to explain the strategy that we used. When it says explain the strategy, whether it's iLearn, NWEA, a math test, a math homework, explain the strategy means tell how you divided, and you have to use a place value strategy. Okay? We don't have to say we drew the Fantastic 7, okay? But we do need to explain what we are doing, okay? How do we explain division? Division is the same as what? What is the definition that we've used? Stella? It's the inverse of multiplication. It's the same as what?
Repeated subtraction.
Okay, and I think that is a great sentence for your first sentence. Division is repeated subtraction. Okay, so you need to have that numbered as number 7. Okay, division is the same as repeated subtraction. So what did we do? What are we doing over here? Who can explain? What are we doing here? And just, instead of subtracting 7, in this one, instead of subtracting 9 137 times, what did I do?
Repeated division.
Okay, kind of, but what's my strategy? Yes.
You got your fact families and you wanted to try to get the closest as you can to let your.
Right, I'm using place value. All of these are tens, hundreds. Up here we did thousands. I'm using place value to chunk together the 9 so that I don't have to subtract it 137 times. Okay, so I used place value to subtract. Well, let's just say to chunk together. Okay, I know it's a lot, but there's one question. There's one question. You can do it. Take your time, write the sentences, make it clear what you did. So, we really did. We did 1,234 minus 900, which equaled 334. Then we did 334 minus 270, which equaled 64. Okay, I can look right back here at my work to see how I chunked it together. Okay, that's why it's important to have neat work. And then finally, 64 minus 63, which equals 1. There's no reason you can't see that. I didn't move it out of your way. I can't do 1 minus 9. Okay, we could not subtract 9 again. So my answer, oh well, we probably need to say we add together the partial quotients. Then I add the partial quotients. Your teachers and your state iLearn graders love the words partial quotients. It shows that you understand the strategy. I add the partial quotients to get 137 remainder 1. Okay, I'll leave that up there for a minute. Again, I know that is lengthy. I know that is lengthy. But it's one question. One question. Okay, and you already know the question. And you have the answer in front of you. Now, on the retest, if you're taking the retest, it has different numbers. So the subtraction sentences cannot be the same. Okay? So on the retest, it has different numbers, but it's the same steps. The first two sentences and the last sentence are going to be the same. You just have to write in what you actually subtracted by looking at your work. Okay, does everyone have that?
Yeah.
All right, 2 more. We're only going over it. You're doing an awesome job. I'm super proud. Okay, Allison found the quotient of 12 for the division problem 73 divided by 6. Rework Allison's problem. Okay, you needed to actually put 73 divided by 6 over here to the right. Okay, I can subtract 6 10 times, which is the same as subtracting 60. That leaves me with 3. I cannot, I'm sorry, that leaves me with 13. Okay, then I can subtract 6 2 more times, which is the same as subtracting 12, and it leaves me with 1. Okay, when you're asked to rework the problem, don't forget to come up here and put the correct answer. So what is Allison's mistake? If she put that the answer is 12 and we get 12 remainder 1, what is her mistake? Cooper?
Forgot to add the number.
Right. Allison did not include the remainder. Silly Allison.
I know, right?
Okay, the smoke alarms in an office building need new batteries. Larry has 1,311 batteries. Each office in the building needs 6 batteries. How many offices will get new batteries? How many batteries will be left? When it's how many left, what are we looking for? What will the answer be to that question? How many are left over? What part of my answer is going to go in that blank? The remainder. That means remainder. Okay, so if I have 1,311 batteries and each office needs 6 batteries, then I need to do 1,311 divided by 6. 6 times 1, 6 times 10, 6 times 100. 6 times 1,000 is 6,000. That's too big. Okay, I can subtract 600. Let's see if I can get closer. 6 times 200 is 1,200. That's closer, isn't it? So I'm going to subtract 6 200 times, which is going to be the same as subtracting 1,200. That leaves me with 111 in my dividend. I cannot subtract 600. I can subtract 60. Let's see if I can go bigger. I cannot. Okay, so I can subtract 6 10 more times, which is the same as subtracting 60. That leaves me with 51. How many times can 6 go into 8 without going over? How many times can 6 go into 8 without going over? Yes. 6 times 7 is 42. Who else? Guys, I should see every hand up. 6 times what gets me close to 51 without going over? Eli? 8. 6 times 8 is 48. That leaves me with 3. Can I subtract 6 again? I cannot. So it's 218, and I have 3 left over. So how many offices get new batteries?
218.
How many batteries are left over?
3.
Okay. Are there questions about this test? Are there any that you're looking at that you don't understand what you did wrong or why I worked it a certain way? Okay. We're going to put that in our VIP folder. We're going to get a parent signature on that. If you did not get at least a 3 on that, go ahead and write up your parent signature. And if you did not get a 3, we will retest at some point next week.
Wait, so if you got a 3?